Licensing can sometimes be an obstacle for outdoor nature-based programs. Traditional licensing rules were not written with the idea that children were going to be outside all day. So, for instance, how do you fence in an area if your area is a public forest? How do you provide a comfortable temperature between 50 and 80 degrees every day when the weather is in charge of your temperature? How do you eliminate risky play for children when that might be one of the reasons that you decided to be outside in nature in the first place? This is why I'm encouraged by the handful of states, like my home state of Oregon, that are creating licensing rules specifically for outdoor nature-based programs. Now, of course, licensing rules bring with them their own set of challenges, right? You have additional paperwork, you have government oversight, maybe you have rules that you find difficult based on what you've already been doing. So I understand why preschools that are in areas where they might be able to operate in kind of a gray zone as unlicensed programs might choose to continue to do that. Hello, I'm Nicole Dravillas-Fravel, and this is Wildwood Teaching. And today I am excited because I have with me Colby and Jeff Otto. They are a husband and wife team who founded the Limpy Creek Forest School here in Oregon. Theirs was one of the first programs to obtain an outdoor nature-based license here in Oregon over the summer. And so I invited them here today to let us know how their journey toward licensing has gone. Hello, Colby. Hello, Jeff. How are you doing today?
Hey, Nicole. Thanks for having us.
Hi.
Glad you could be here. So I guess let's start. Can you tell us a little bit about Limpy Creek Forest School, kind of pre-licensing, how you started, what it looked like?
Yes, so we are here in Grants Pass, and we are fortunate enough to operate on our private property. So that is kind of a big key element in how we operate and how we do things here. And we're pretty much in charge of things out here, which really helps. We started our LLC in 2022. It was a major journey to get kids enrolled and get the site ready. Jeff is our site coordinator, so that's his expertise, but really, we haven't, like, our first session really we've been in session for a full year now. So 2022 wasn't when it just all happened for us and we had kids enrolled and we were operating. It took a long time to really get families on board and to get kids out here and to get the clientele that we needed. So we've had anywhere from 4 to 6 kids since then. Right now we have 6 children enrolled. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, when we started, we had just moved to this community. So we didn't have a community base. We were just getting to know people. So that's probably been our biggest challenge, is just building the confidence in the community that we're someplace that would want to leave their kids in the woods. And that's been the big hurdle. And we did some local fairs. There's a fair called the Froggo Fair that we went to, and Colby attended some of the farmers markets, talking to people, sort of just trying to get the word out to the community that we're here and present and what we're offering.
So I'm wondering pre-licensing, kind of what did your day look like? Because I don't know if you were operating as a family childcare since you are in home, or if you were operating as a recorded program, because I know that the recorded program, you can only do 4 hours, which was definitely a barrier to attracting families for me.
Right. Yes. So we have historically been a recorded program. We've never had children indoors. We've always been fully outdoor. We agree completely that was a major barrier to get working families out here. So that was one of our incentives of why we obtained the license, because we wanted to expand our hours. We currently now operate for 6 hours, so that did help us get a few more families enrolled. But yes, we've always been a recorded program until now, until when we officially got our license, which was in September.
And I would say that the way we operate as a licensed program and as a recorded program we didn't change much.
It's pretty similar.
Yeah, they didn't. There were, they came out. There were some places they said don't go here, put a rope or something like that near the creek. Some real basic things. The jungle gym, like we have a little dome thing that the kids climb on. Had to put a pad under that. So there's like little, features that they added that things with the fire. There are fire rules so that are a little bit prohibitive, or at least you have to have 2 people. So having a fire in the lodge has been more difficult with the licensed. So there are certainly some elements that have restricted some of our activities, but overall, I think that licensing has improved our program because we can offer more hours. There is that state oversight and a general, there's a standard at which we operate, and I feel that that's important in the industry to just stay with standards. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think it can be helpful with families, first of all, right? To say that we are, even though we're outside, we're keeping your children safe.
Yes.
I find it helpful with insurance. Because I think for me, again, another barrier was finding insurance because they wanted that state licensing.
Our insurance considerably.
It didn't happen in conjunction with the license, but for whatever reason, the insurance that we had, it did quadruple this year for us. FL Dean is who's been our provider. Last year it was $500. This year it was $2,000. So I didn't even mention that we had a license. I don't know if that would have made a difference. I don't think at the time I was thinking that, but anyways, that was definitely, whatever part of the investment that we're making to do this. So, and there was an investment that we had to make to get the license too. I had to take a training, and I'd say overall it was probably around $1,000 by the time we were done. Getting it all together with the materials we needed, the trainings that we had to do, and things like that. But we're happy we did it, and we would do it again. And Renee, our licensing agent, was incredibly helpful, and all of her team really were the whole way. So they were very supportive and always are anytime we have questions now, even about little things.
Was your training specific to outdoor nature-based program, or were they part of the general just license?
It wasn't through the DELC, their Department of Early Learning and Care. Those were all free. So Jeff, because he's technically an aide, he did those were free. I did those, but I had to do. They have like a list of outdoor nature-based trainings that the directors have to take. And I believe once he's at the teacher level, he'll have to take 2 once he has the hours. But the one I'd chosen to do, which was through the Forest School Teacher Institute, which I loved. I thought it was great. I would recommend that to anybody. So it really did inform my work as well and make me feel like a better director. I chose the director training, and that was $700. So you do have to, take those trainings to get the license, and there's a different list. So I don't know what the pricing is on all of them. That was just the one I chose. But I'm assuming they're all, probably a little bit costly, because, you're gaining something from it and leaving with some skills and things like that.
Right. I think too that there are some provisions in the licensing requirements that you can count hours. So if you have been running an outdoor nature-based program for many, many years, like I've been doing this for 15 years now, that you can count some of that experience instead of taking the courses, depending on whether you're looking at an aide, a teacher, or a director level of.
Okay. Yeah, because there's 2 different requirements. There's the 250 hours of nature-based teaching, and then the training is separate from that. So I'm not sure if that would be a question for them, but I had the hours, but I didn't have the training. So I still you have to do the training. So I'm not sure. But I'd be curious to find out if that's something some people might be able to, through their own experience, jump through that hurdle. It's possible. It didn't seem like I had that option. So That was just my experience, but.
Okay. So just important for people to know that there might be a cost involved.
There will be a cost. Like you have to just buy certain things they're going to want. The inspector's going to want you to have. Like we had to buy a fire extinguisher. I don't know how much that was, but there's things that they're like, you got to have this if you're going to operate. But and none of it's super prohibitive, I wouldn't say. I'm just saying the training, I felt that was the biggest cost we had from the whole thing. And once again, I was happy we did it. It was great. It's all good. And there might be ones that cost less. But you know, there's definitely, and you have to pay for the license, which wasn't much. It was about $100 plus, I think it's $12 per child. So depending on your capacity, you know, anywhere from $150 to $200 for the license. So, you know, there's fees
Per year.
per year.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So beyond expanding your day, what else were you hoping to accomplish from going through the licensing process?
Well, a big one was we wanted to accept ERDC because we were hoping, you know, to make our program and nature-based programs more accessible to working and low-income families or just anyone who may have a barrier of entry to have this kind of experience for their child. So far, we don't have any families that are, you know, paying through that subsidy. We advertise that now though, and we're kind of thinking, you know, we sort of got the license right before fall and winter hit. So we didn't have high expectations of getting more kids enrolled during these months. We're hoping that this spring and summer, we can really pull in some new families, you know, possibly some ERDC clients. So we're happy we have the option. So far, it hasn't really played out in that way, but that was one of our you know, goals. And then the biggest one, like we've said, was the hours, because that's just, it's so hard, as you know, for any working family, or even just getting them all the way out here. We're not super far from town. It's about 15, 20 minutes, depending on where you are. One family drives 35 minutes. So it just depends on what you're willing to do. But it's to come out here that far, drive back, try to get errands done, come back in 4 hours. It's just not enough time for them to really, the kids, it always felt kind of short. And they really love school. So with the 6 hours, even right now, it's winter, it's cold, their parents come to pick up. They don't want to leave. They want to stay. They love it. So that's, you know, of course, our biggest goal is just to create a fun, nurturing learning environment that the kids feel like is a second home for them that they want to return to. So we've achieved that, and that makes us very happy. The license kind of just lets people know we have a standard and that we're legitimate and that we uphold, you know, these certain kind of, you know, which was, like Jeff said, really wasn't a big transition for us because we already approached this with high standards and we've always done everything 110%. So when they came out here, they were very impressed with the site. Already we had, you know, policies in place and things like that. So it wasn't a ton of changing things up, or, you know, we did have to add some things, but overall, for us, it really just reflected that we already were moving from that kind of high standard place from the beginning.
Things like wildlife drill. That was one of the things they added that we didn't have. Experiencing wildlife drill, you know, the fire drill, earthquake drill, things like that. So sort of things that are reminiscent of a typical school experience, you know, that I think only prepared us more. So I've really thought, I think the licensing has been completely advantageous to us so far and just expanded the possibilities in the community.
Yeah, I can speak to the wildlife drill coming in handy. We had a high wind situation last year, and everybody knew what to do. And the kids even explained it to their parents afterwards. Nicole blew the whistle and we got out of the forest.
Oh, awesome.
Wow.
What was the wildlife? What'd you see?
It was not a wildlife. It was a strange, like, it was a sudden weather thing. Anybody who's outside described it as like somebody immediately like turned off the lights and everything became dark and the winds picked up and we saw large branches just fly. I mean, 6 foot long branches just fly off the trees. And we said, we need to get into the open. But we had prepared the kids with, we had had bear sightings. So we had some like wildlife drills Oh, not while the kids were there. We did not have bear sightings while the kids were there, but other just in the forest, we had bears. So we had already prepared the kids in terms of wildlife sightings. So we just repurposed it for the high wind situation, and it was fantastic. Everybody knew exactly to do. So the drills, I know it feels like it's never gonna happen, but you never know.
Yeah.
And it's a good activity with the kids. If you can, 15 minutes is 15 minutes. If you can get the kids occupied, especially in the cold weather, it's really about keeping them occupied and moving and their minds, moving, and that helps a lot.
Yeah. So what does, because I want people to know like what's possible, even with a licensing, with government oversight, what does a typical day look like for you?
So we have in the morning right now, our drop off is 8:30 to 9:30. So we have a little bit of flexibility. We have some students that come more on the later end. Some are right there, ready to go at 8:30. I usually kind of have a sensory activity out or some sort of table activity. That's kind of the time when they all start to warm up and run around and kind of, their relationships start to like pick up from yesterday or the day before or the week before. And then at 9:30, we have our cleanup. I ring a bell, we sing a song, we all work together to kind of get everything in order. I ring a gong when it's circle time, which comes right after cleanup time. We all gather around the fire pit. We don't have a fire in there currently. We do have a heater right now in the middle just because it's so cold. So we'll turn that on and kind of gather around it. And it's sort of like our hearth in the middle of we have a big 38-foot canvas sky lodge, we call it. So that's our classroom. And it's pretty set up. We got cubbies, we got shelves. I got a big teacher desk. We have a sink. We have well water piped to it. So we do have running water, which is great. We do our circle time, which is about 15 minutes. Then we line up, wash hands together, do snack. I provide snack. And then we have kind of usually teacher-led activities at that point, balanced with some child-led experiences too. But I'll usually do an art project, or if we're going to do some sort of cooking or anything like that, it's going to happen usually in those couple hours or whatever before lunch. And then we'll have another cleanup, followed by another circle time, which is our lunch circle time, which is another around 15 minutes. Then we also wash hands again. They have their lunches from home that they bring, we all sit down and have lunch together. And then it's pretty much a lot of child-led kind of creek exploration, hiking, building, whatever kind of things we get into during that later half of the day. And then, all of our students right now do the 6 hours. We had a couple 4-hour, students for a minute there, but they all expanded. And so, then our pickup time is between 2:15 and 2:30. So families come during that time and the day goes by pretty quick. I mean, winter's definitely, I keep cheering the kids on. I'm letting them know you guys are amazing. This is not easy. The morning is the hardest part right now. Their hands are the big thing that when those get cold, I pretty much pour hot water on their hands, dry them off, put their mittens back on. Some students they're not impacted at all by the cold, and others are more sensitive. So each child is a little different, but they're doing great. And our schedule works really well. They know what to expect. They know our routines. They follow them really well. They all get along really well. And I think, this outdoor environment and the level of freedom and the balance of structure and freedom that we offer really makes it, minimizes behaviors and all the things that we see in these indoor settings. And I'm not saying we're never going to have those things happen, because I know we will, but I know from experience, at least so far, that it's much more minimized when they have so much opportunity to move when they want, get messy when they want, play with water when they want. We have jobs. I have daily jobs. So we always assign everybody a daily job, and they really take on those roles and feel empowered, and the classroom feels like it's theirs, and our campus is very child-centered, and they feel that, and the families feel that, and we really are creating this culture of community and just like a second family, really is kind of how it feels. And we are a smaller group, so I think it lends to that more than if we had like 20 kids. The relationships might not be as strong. And I still think that'd be great. Of course, that's our goal, to get tons of kids out here. But it has been really special to just kind of have this small group for this long, year of time. Mm-hmm. So
generally, when the kids come into the lodge, they instantly embrace it. The lodge is set up very miniature. Everything is kid size. There's the teacher desk. That's about the only adult thing in there. But my observation has been when the kids first come to tour the campus, they just are boom in. They just love the space. They just feel that it's their space. And we really do try to encourage the kids and the families to take advantage of what we have, the land and you know, all of the trails. We have the stream running through it. So we're trying to get the kids, and we're always encouraging the parents, you know, if you come early, you want to take a hike with your kids, or, you know, whatever, enjoy it however you can. And the kids really do feel ownership. You know, they're like, oh, Mom, I want to show you this. I want to take you down and show you this. And it really feels good to see the kids just embrace it as their own. And I think it really does help them in their comfort level and in their ability to stay there throughout the day.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think ownership is belonging, and we want kids to feel like they belong. Absolutely.
Yeah, it really does feel that way.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to add for anybody thinking about, you know, trying to make that decision? Should I go for the license? Should I not?
I'm a huge advocate. I think industry standards are critical, and I think that it's great to have your own thing and your own ideas, and that works too. But I feel that they're establishing industry standards, regardless of the industry, is important, just to create a bar, you know, that we can hold ourselves and others accountable to when it comes to taking care of young children. I think that, you know, there's a lot of ideas out there that we need to be able to align ourselves on a certain standard that is appropriate. And I just think that's very important personally.
Yeah. And once again, Renee, she was our licensing specialist, and she was incredible this whole process. I feel like she's like our friend now. We can always text her about anything, and she's super helpful, great with just emailing and texting us. We just feel really supported by her and really, you know, held on this process. We didn't mention too, for us, it took, you know, we weren't like every day chugging away because we had stuff going on, but it did take us about 6 months from start to finish, from her, you know, because she had to come make some visits. We had to have the inspector out here.
Fire marshal.
We did have the fire marshal come, even though we didn't have a structure. We just kind of wanted to, like, it was another opportunity to get more community members out here. So he was really cool. And also now Rural Metro knows our location, which is part of the process anyways. Like any program will have to, you know, contact those authorities and make sure their location's marked in the mapping system so that in emergencies they can quickly find you. So things like that did take time.
And we had the fire, as a result of that, the fire department came out with a truck, and they sort of had a day where the kids got to see what they do. And that was really fun. And that was a great community sort of input that was really successful.
Yeah. So overall, we would recommend getting a license. We're really happy we did. And Renee had told us too, she's like, you guys did the hard work. It's going to be all the works in the beginning, that first, you know, when you first get it. And then every year it's just going to be a renewal, and it's going to be kind of reviewing things you've already done. So if you can get through that first push, then it should be pretty smooth sailing after that, assuming you're following all of the, you know, guidelines that you'd set forth and things like that.
Oh. Well, thank you. I think this is really helpful for people who are considering licensing, or, you know, just starting up an outdoor nature-based school, for, you know, what the possibilities are. Maybe love to have you back maybe this time next year to see, you know, if you are able to create, you know, some more interest with parents with those longer hours, and see how it goes. But,
and we're also open to any kind of, you know, questions. Anybody who wants to reach out, we're an open book. We're extremely transparent, and our vision is to really help this industry grow and you know, help other people do the same thing. I mean, I've done the math, and in this facility, if in the next 10 years, if we can have 500 kids, we would be lucky to have 50 kids a year. That's a really and in my opinion, that's just not enough. We need these facilities every 50 miles. There needs to be another one. Every 30 miles, there should be another outdoor forest school. So yeah, our vision is to really help expand the whole industry and the whole movement of outdoor learning so that it can become accessible for kids across the nation.
I think those are Fabulous last words.